Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Capricorn full moon. This tripod hasn't been cooperating. So we're on a different camera. How is everybody? How is everyone feeling on this full moon? It is a culmination moment. So feelings are at their peak. Hello, Troy. Oh, thank you. There's a chorus of song with me. Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, so hopefully you guys saw the once in 800 year Capricorn energy. That really goes, it was big. It goes like far beyond like everything. And it just, when everything really clicked in for me, that is when, oh, hey, Alice, welcome. When I had that reading in November 2019, and I got that response back after I channeled like that year, that was big, and it got me to go into the history and look up the charts of that time. And it was weird because it was before the Gregorian calendar, so it's just, I love mysteries. I think you guys do too, and especially historical mysteries. And it's very Capricorn to go back. So hello, welcome. Aw, hey guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the more granular parts of this full moon as it pertains to you guys on an individual level. So you have the broader scope that this is about you being authentic and living within your integrity, and how if that means breaking away from certain systems and institutions, not just the church, the Catholic Church, or your job, but it's also down to the family tribes, down to your friendship groups. Before the pandemic, maybe you were socializing with people that they're just kind of like, I don't want to say like whatever people, but those little moments in between bigger moments where someone just happens to be there. You're both going to a yoga class, and so you talk about the class or the people or the teacher or the philosophy or what have you, or you're in the same educational class, and circumstances brought you to this person, and together you talk about whatever. But when you go to a different school, when you take up martial arts instead of yoga, when life moves forward, those friendships don't always stick. They don't always stay, because they were a little bit more superficial in nature, and it was more location and circumstance that brought you two together, and not really bonding over a shared humanity. And so this Capricorn energy, Capricorn rules integrity first and foremost. So wherever the Capricorn area of your life is, that is where you need to take responsibility for owning your personal integrity in those life matters. So if you are Capricorn, it's your entire life. It's everything you do. And of course, we all want to have integrity in everything we do. It's just that if you are, if you're a Leo and you have Capricorn on the 6th house, then you really need to take in a personal sense of responsibility for upholding integrity in your, not just your workplace, but it's also a house of service and humility, and a certain level of grace where you need to sort of soften that big ego for a little bit in order to give structure and form. Otherwise, your health will suffer, and your mental health can suffer, your physical health can suffer, your spiritual health will suffer if you are not standing in your integrity, so on and so forth. I go into this after this in the Patreon for all 12 signs, but you guys get what I mean, that Capricorn is the sign of integrity. And this huge Capricorn energy, 2020, we had this super like everything is bringing it home. It's driving it in us to make the liberating breaks away from that which does not resonate with us, is not aligned in our sense of personal integrity. So this is a full moon in Capricorn, brought to you by your favorite Capricorn on YouTube, Capricorn Stellium over here, at 3 degrees of Capricorn, June 24th, 2021. It is the first full moon in Capricorn that is not an eclipse. So right now the eclipse family is in Gemini and Sagittarius. Before that, it was in Cancer and Capricorn. So it's a wild ride. You made it. Yay, round of applause. You made it. This is also the same point as the new moon solar eclipse 18 months ago, December 26th, 2019. This full moon is an echo. What she showed me is an echo back, like you, hello, and then you hear it, hello, whoa, 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 whoa. It's kind of like that, where it's this energy right now, June 24th, is an echo back to something that was going on for you, starting up for you in the realm of personal integrity, December 26th, 2019. So this is also completing a 6-month cycle from January 12th, 2021 at the Capricorn new moon, because these new moons have like a 6-month effect, they have a 6-month effect, but not in the same way as other lunations. So when I say they have a 6-month effect for this new moon in Capricorn, it starts something and you get it going and everything layers over. So you're completing the chapter. However, this degree point, this specific degree point, that degree point was 23 degrees of Capricorn. So it's different. It's different. So I want you to just I want you to see everything from broad to narrow. And so this is part of that journey. That degree point, that 23 degrees of Capricorn, was the same point where we had the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January 2020. So something has been building over time. And yes, also we're talking about that. Oops, sorry. We're talking about that too. So that follows along this, this energy as well. Okay, so you want to look back over the last 6 months and see what you have been building in your life, what has been gaining form and structure and responsibility, what you've been, I would say, I would write, if you want to write this out, it's even better, but you can think about it just in your mind as well. But I would think about all of your responsibilities. Write everything down, everything that you're responsible for, like in your life. Are you responsible for paying rent, or are you not responsible for paying rent? Are you responsible for taking care of children or not taking care of children? Are you responsible? Like, I would really export everything out onto paper and take a good, hard, realistic look at that. Some things might point out to you as much more clear that you don't need to be responsible for something, even though you wrote it down and you're just like feeling like you are. And it might be just easier for you to see in black and white. I'm not responsible for that person's feelings. I'm not responsible for this person's happiness. So this is the point in the middle of the year that you're going to need to assess everything that you've been building on and taking responsibility for since January and what you're ready to let go of, because the big changes of the year are happening December, the end of December, January, early February of this year. Now June and July, but more in July. And then end of November, December of 2021. So like if things are going to change, in really big ways, it's going to be now. So hopefully what we want to do is to get you into a very conscious place. And consciousness, being conscious, being awakened, being woke, all of that, all it means is that you know how energy works and you know your energies and you know how to use energies and you want to know more about how to use your energies and how they're working. So this full moon in Capricorn, June 24th, culminates in awareness from a higher consciousness that you downloaded directly to our present consciousness, to your present consciousness on what the most significant astrology in 2020 was actually meaning in your life. There's something coming through now over the next few weeks that's going to kind of bring it all together. It's because of the last 6 months. It's because of the last year or more. And you're going to have your own realizations. You're going to take that step back. You're going to look at this because this full moon is sextiling Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So there's an energy of philosophizing and going inward and understanding what something actually meant. Because things happen in our lives. We do things, people do things, we respond to things, X, Y, Z. And we don't really know or grasp the meaning of it, of what it really meant for us until later. That's, yeah. So this is going to be a great consciousness download for you from Source in a way that you can understand it today. And like I said, 2020 showed you what structures in the Capricorn area of your life, but in the bigger area of your life, but the structures that just don't work anymore, the structures that just don't hold up your integrity, your authenticity, and like how you want to live your life. Because the structures, we don't think about it, but it's what we live our life in. When you take the bus to go to work and then pick up your kid on the way home, like that's a structure. That's a frame, and then you live within that frame. Capricorn's kind of behind the scenes. Like I know it's the 10th house, it's public image, but it's still, it's got this sort of behind the scenes quality to it, where there's so much that is invisible, even though there is still so much that is visible. So you guys began something powerful 6 months ago, and you began something powerful 6 months ago. I'm not going to digress. That was based on all that has permanently changed for you and transformed in your life since January 2020. It's like your soul went through the experience in this incarnation in 2020. And then end of December, January, you were ready for something next. You were ready to internalize all of that experience and then make a big change in your life. So either you did the change, you pushed forward and went for something, or it happened to you. You had to respond to something, which, Viktor Frankl, you guys, read Man's Search for Meaning. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It got me through so many dark periods. He says, I'm going to paraphrase it the best I can. He says something about when something happens and our response, there's that space. And in that space is our freedom and our growth. When we can choose how we respond to something or how we respond to a situation or a person, that is just like, that's empowerment and freedom, okay? So this Capricorn area has survived sweeping changes. And there will be more sweeping changes until 2023. And even then, Pluto's going to retrograde back in and out of Aquarius for like 3 times. So it's still going to be like, but then we'll never experience it ever again. So whatever is going to change and whatever's been changing since 2008, you will never experience that kind of upheaval. It's once in, like, I think Pluto takes like 284 years to its orbital period to actually go all the way around. So, okay. Massive upheavals, new directions, and the biggest purging you'll ever experience in your entire life. These deep structural changes will last for the rest of your life. Pluto rules endings and beginnings, so you've likely had You've likely had so many different endings and so many different beginnings since 2008 up until now, and then again, it'll continue until 2023. Where and how you began was determined by what you learned in 2020 and your own personal evolutionary point. So we're only able to really go as far as we're ready. And we're only able to grow as much as we can understand. If you just can't, like Neo in the Matrix, like when he first has that experience and it's like, he just can't handle it. It's just like too much, like looking at the batteries and looking at the sky, going with Morpheus, like that's a lot. That's a lot. And then coming back in the Nebuchadnezzar, like that's a lot. So it's a lot. Your own evolutionary point. So how have you applied wisdom and growth practically over the last 6 months? Because this full moon is harvest time. Whatever you've been working on, okay, so Capricorn rules integrity and responsibility, evolutionary growth. We have the sea, we come from the sea, we have the fishtail, but then we're the goat, so we climb the very top of the tallest mountain. So that covers the whole spectrum of experience. So when you assess your responsibilities over the last 6 months and what you've been taking on, it should have been, idealistically, it should have been in support of your integrity, in support of who you really are, in support of you individuating yourself away from groups and situations and people that don't want you to fully express yourself, that don't want you to blossom and grow. So if your responsibilities, look at your responsibilities or what you feel responsible to, and see if they support you. See if they really support you living a healthy, fun, self-expressive lifestyle, or if your responsibilities just make you feel burdened and make you feel trapped and make you feel like there's no way out of this and make you feel like I have to do this and make you feel like trapped is really what I'm like, very caged energy. That's a major red flag. And you can still turn things around. You still have some energy to turn things around and free yourself of these things in order to further align. This is the time that big changes are being made anyway. So you can steer these changes, or things can kind of blow up. Like if you've been wanting to leave your job and you just haven't had the gumption to do it, or maybe you've just been lazy about finding a different job, you can get fired. Something can blow up at work. The company might go under. It's something like that that'll kind of push you and force you into that new existence that's going to better reflect like who you really are. Okay. Harvest time. It sounds so great, guys. Harvest. So if you have been working really hard on something that is really important to you, that is really meaningful, this can be a time where you get your get back, where you get your return on your investment, because you've been investing in the right things. You've been investing in yourself. You've been investing in your own personal. This is like working really, really hard, starting up your own business, or working really hard on your relationship with your children and like turning that around, and then finally you have like a breakthrough, like, oh my God, they're talking to me now. It's something like that where you get like validation. It feels so good. So Pluto will continue this work until October 2024, season 24, and retrograde in and out of Aquarius at the end, emphasizing the 29th karmic conclusion. God, that's going to be big. That's going to be so big. Guys, I'm telling you, do the hard work now. This is how Saturn works. Just do the hard work. Because listen, everything is hard. Like if you're in a love relationship or romantic relationship where you guys don't connect, and maybe you lost attraction for them, maybe they lost attraction for you, and maybe you guys live together and you both pay half and half rent, and you guys just don't want to actually figure out how you're going to like live life and change, doing the hard work of like changing the structure. Do the hard work now, because then maybe lockdown happened. Then maybe you were stuck with them. That happened. That was a lot of people. That was Venus retrograding. That was a squares to Neptune. So if anything like that was the case for you in 2020, where you were in a living situation you didn't like, or a relationship you weren't happy with, like that we all saw that. That's also what gave rise to a lot of domestic abuse, like skyrocketing. So things that are just like unavoidable. So unavoidable because of then here we're talking about physical structures of being like physically stuck with someone. So if you do the hard, everything's hard though. Like staying and doing a job you don't like, that's hard. But putting the energy into going after what you really want, whether that's a job, a career, a love relationship, a person, that's hard too. It's all hard. It's all hard. So what's worth it? Choose your hard. Choose what is really worth it. But it's procrastination, it's laziness, it's low self-esteem, insecurity, fears, and being disconnected from the intuition, being disconnected from that inner guidance that keeps us reliant on a false system that promises security in exchange for our freedom, in exchange for. And that's Capricorn too. Capricorn is like the father that you still get supported by in exchange for like telling them everything about your life, or your father pays for everything, so they get to choose what color your cabinets are, and they get to choose what car you drive, and they get to choose where you're living and how you live, and they know everything about your finances and your love relationships and your kids, and they know. It's like that, this oppressive energy. That's what we've done. That's what we did 800 years ago when we surrendered our internal compass and like exported that responsibility. We gave it up, gave it away to the church in order to just not have to think about it. Like, okay, well, 10 Hail Marys, 5 Our Fathers, and I'm absolved of my sin. Great, thanks, bye. Without doing the inner growth work of understanding what happened and the clarity and the intuitional unlockings that were going to serve us to bring us closer to source. That's the evil exchange. That is the, it's sick. Sorry. It's messed up, but that's where the power, that's like shadow Capricorn power, where you wield a certain level of economic power, or there's some imbalance there. Now, the higher part of that Capricorn energy is that Capricorn loves to work hard and loves to provide for who they love, what they love, but not in a way that discourages people from individuating and growing into their own. So like a healthy Capricorn will make a healthy structure, like I do with the Artigan, like we have over on Patreon, that empowers other people. If you're connecting to a Capricorn, just a Capricorn tip me to you, if you're connecting with a Capricorn that like wants you to be dependent on them and does not empower you, that's toxic. Or if they like that you have money issues and go to them, or if they like that you're unstable, or if they like that you don't know yourself and don't trust yourself, so that you go to them because it pleases their ego or makes them feel needed or valued or reliable, that's toxic Capricorn energy. No. Toxic Capricorn energy, okay? You want to connect with Capricorn energy that empowers you because they are self-empowered. When you empower other people, that will increase your self-esteem. So I'm just saying, as far as like Capricorn, if you see, and this goes for everything and everyone in your work situations, people that don't want to, it goes everywhere, and it gets so super petty. Like people that don't want to share their recipes, or they share a recipe with you and they leave out like the main ingredient that makes it taste so delicious, or stuff like that. Like this ruler of the full moon is Saturn, which is in Aquarius retrograde. And that means that and what else is going on? So we have Saturn retrograding in Aquarius, opposing Mars in Leo. Guys, next week is going to be crazy. And then the T-square energy comes down onto Uranus and Taurus. This is liberating change. So this Uranus-Mars energy is really harsh. It's really severing. There's like a severing taking place. So this is a time when we are going to do a harsh severing of all of that energy, a severing of energies that really don't empower us, because we're ready to really own our own empowerment and take responsibility for doing that, where it's not the church's fault. Unpopular opinion. It's not their fault. It's not your dad's fault. It's not your boyfriend's fault. It's not your girlfriend's fault. It's not your sister's fault, your brother's fault. It's not your cousin's fault. It's no one else's fault. That's another way that we go into victim mentality and disempower ourselves by identifying as the victim. If someone does something to us, it's our responsibility to have self-value, self-integrity, self-respect, and change things. Seek help to make changes and do what needs to be done. But it's owning it. It's owning that energy and taking responsibility for that energy to get us out of a situation. And that's what's happening here. So with the ruler of the moon in Aquarius, this is about groups, friends, associations, tribes, people. There's a severing Okay, so July 4th is going to be like violent and crazy. And there's going to be, and look what's been happening in 2020. And not even just with COVID, but with politics since 8 years. Like it's been building since 2008, but it's been getting hotter and hotter. And it's been like everything has been so politicized. And what's breaking apart now? Families are breaking apart. And what's that toxic family mentality that we learn in families that just groom us to be accepting of bad behavior in our love relationships? It's to love family no matter what, because it's family, because through my family. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's BS. It's fake. It's fallacy. not real. It's a lie. We don't need the family tribe like we have needed it for hundreds of years. We have Google now, we have Ecosia, we have devices that can reach every corner of the globe and connect us with every other device on every other corner of the globe. We have the ability to connect with our soul tribe in a way that we were alienated from and marginalized before we could connect with others through the internet. So this is a natural occurrence with a technological advancement coupled with human spirituality evolving through everything we're evolving through. So you think of December 26, 2019, December 25th, 2020, and think of all of the families that are being broken apart due to politics, due to politicizations and health and healthcare and views. You know, I'm vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, I'm not vaccinated, you're vaccinated, I'm voting this way, I'm voting that way, I want that, like all of that, breaking up families. It's ideological. We want to connect with people that have a shared humanity. And it's painful. It's painful to feel where a family member has a limit, where you can go with them, where there is just, they're never going to understand you. You don't have the tolerance for their ignorance and their intolerance. So where do we go from here? You can't, they're not going to grow if they're not ready. They're just not. So you have the responsibility. It's not that person's fault. Their soul is choosing to not understand. That's their free will choice. It's their right to do that. It's up to you now to take responsibility and put up a boundary between you and that person and let them grow or not grow or do whatever they want. It's not your energy. That's such Capricorn energy. So I'm titling this A Life to be Proud of. This is about your integrity, your authenticity, because you will find people and they will find you that do share your sense of the same humanity, who you can connect with on a deeper level, who will support you and want to see you win, want to see you thrive, want to see you living and expressing your creative, vital life force. You will. I went way off script. Where was I? Okay. Have you been able to have you been able to close the cognitive dissonance and figure out how to transform energy the last 6 months? This is like the strength card in the tarot where the woman, she's holding the mouth of the lion open. And how does he not rip her into little itty bitty pieces? It's spiritual power. It's a display of spiritual power, overcoming primal animalistic nature in the personality, which is what we have to ultimately overcome if we are to become a master of our abilities, a master co-creator with the universe, and masterfully channel and use our own energies to get what we want in life without hurting other people. So the cognitive dissonance, we had a hard new moon. That new moon in January, that was a January 6th energy. That new moon was with Pluto and Saturn squaring Mars and Uranus. So yeah, it's been rough. It's been a rough ride. So again, closing a lot of cognitive dissonance. And I wonder why I run out of ink so fast. So over the last 6 months, have you been able to move through? But the transformation is what got me. Transforming that strength card, back to the strength card in the tarot. You've got to transform that weakness, that human weakness, into strength. Transform that weakness into empowerment, into a personal power. Have you been able to move through this energy with self-honesty, past the places you've fallen before? Because we try and we fail all the time. That's how it works. But you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying because it's worth it, because you're worth it and your life is worth it. No one else suffers. Whoever you're blaming for the wrong things in your life is not suffering anything. You're the one suffering by staying the victim and being sad about it, being depressed about it, being upset about it. And you need to put up a boundary on that suffering, on that grief. You guys know I lost Gia last year. It's hard, but I have to put boundaries on when the grieving strikes me. I have my moon in Aquarius. It just comes out of nowhere. My feelings just come out of like a lightning bolt, like the tower moment. So it needs to have a boundary. You can't get all dramatic with it and go on and on and on and on. And I'm a psychic. I can talk to her whenever I want. That's the weird thing. It's that I still know everything. I can still communicate with her, and the human body still feels it. The human body still locks up trauma and holds on to it. And so it expresses itself. So give yourself room for feeling what you have to feel, but put a boundary on it because you're worth it. You don't want to get dramatic and go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, get dramatic for a few hours if you go all out, balls to the wall, but put a cap on that, okay? Let's see. Oh, where are you falling before? Okay, but you have to keep trying. Or have you manifested various chaos resulting in crises instead of purging, resulting in a breakthrough? So that's another way this manifests, is you manifest chaos, you manifest a crisis in order for you to be taught through this external crisis something you need in order to mature and grow. Because a crisis is only a crisis because we don't have the maturity, the emotional or spiritual maturity to meet the situation. It's, oh my God, I don't know how to handle this. It's a crisis. But once you come out of the crisis, then you know what to do. It's like your first car crash. You're like, oh, but maybe the other person is like, get out your insurance card, do the, make the, and it's like, oh, okay. And you like know what to do. So the next time you have a fender bender, it's not a crisis. It's just a fender bender and you know what to do. Either is okay. So if you've been manifesting chaos and crises, and if you've been having lots of breakthroughs, or both, very likely, hopefully both. Hopefully it's been a good balance. That's both okay. Because we're all in our own unique timing. That's why I do not judge people for where they are in their adventure, in their spiritual adventure, whatever they're learning, whatever lessons they're learning. I don't judge them because we're all in our own timeline. Something that takes me a second to learn might take someone else a lifetime. Likewise, something they were born knowing might take me 30, 40, 50 years, my entire life. And I wouldn't want to be judged for that either. I would want some patience and understanding and compassion. So why wouldn't I freely give that? Okay. It's a weird thing that I've seen is that like mothers or parents will look at their kids and they won't give them certain good things like love and stuff because they didn't get it and they don't want their kid to have that. And it's like the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. So there's that. If there's been lots of chaos and crises in the last 6 months, you're getting valuable experience that you need to spiritually mature before receiving the rewards. So like, don't judge yourself and don't, if you're stuck at home, I have people, you guys are all different nationalities and cultures. You guys that email me and have emailed me since I've been on YouTube have been all age ranges. Like I've helped people that are very, very young in their teenage years, all the way up to very, very wizened elders. So like the gamut runs like everywhere. So whether you are, locked into a living situation that is like, oh my God, like I can't get out of this and it's so hard, it's so difficult, or a family dynamic that's just so difficult and there's so much weight attached to it and so much burden and responsibility attached to it. It's okay. It's okay because you do the hard work now and you get the rewards. You'll enter that reward cycle. So whether you are working out karma, getting through crises, working through pain, healing, giving yourself time to mourn and grieve and heal. You could have oppressed a lot of trauma because you couldn't deal with it, and now you're ready to cry it out. Let that happen. Okay? What was I trying to say here? Inspiration before everyone else, like the breakthroughs were able to solidify a deep commitment the last 6 months. So the hard work for some of us has been to solidify something that we knew that we wanted based on what we learned all of 2020 from the December 26, 2019 new moon solar eclipse. So it's been hard. It's like, that's just life. That's Capricorn. So Capricorn. Karmic results in lessons and rewards will disperse now and into July as karmic rewards justly earned on the merit of self-respect, self-awareness, personal responsibility, and integrity. That is how Saturn works. And I like that because what you earn, you get. If you just do the work, you get the rewards. That's like Saturn, it's hard. We always feel like we're a victim with Saturn. We just feel like life is hard. It's like, man, I try to get a job and my car breaks down and it's a cheap car and I can't get another one. And they took my tires and I'm just trying to do the right thing. Why is this happening to me? You know, if we feel like a victim, we feel like that's Saturn. That's Saturn just like keep pushing you down. You keep trying to get up, it pushes you down. You keep trying to get up, it pushes you down. But it gets you freaking like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill, where you do the flippy thing with your feet and you just like, you know, with Pai Mei, that's perfect. Pai Mei is Saturn and you are all Uma Thurman. You're the bride. You're Beatrix Kiddo. So Pai Mei is going to turn you into a freaking warrior. Okay. Saturn was conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius, December. So there's been structural support you needed to idealize, philosophize, and build for yourself the last 6 months. There's a lot of crunchy energy because of this T-square. There's a liberating change going on. With Mars in Leo, there's a demand to be recognized. You have to be appreciated. You have to be valued. And with Saturn retrograding in Aquarius, it's the people around you that you've got to have that from them. You have to be supported by these people. You're seriously reconsidering your future and your friends. And you're looking out and you're like, man, I didn't like saying hi to that person every time I went to class. And I don't ever want to see this person ever again. You know, and it's like, this is the time that things are going to change. And I talk about this after this and the Patreon for all 12 signs where this is happening in your life. So it's going to be different for everyone where this, it's such dynamic tension that it just like has to change. So, there's so much else happening with Mercury in Gemini direct after having gone through Mercury retrograde and after having gone through these eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius. This is a moment because Mercury is at the same time squaring Neptune and Pisces. So things are still unclear. We can't go through logic like we want to. We have to go and trust our intuitions. And if that intuition was fed disinformation or is faulty or is not self-aware and we have not been actively working with our subconscious and intuitions, then we are going to make a decision based off of something false, rose-colored glasses, a subconscious thing, a program running in the background of our systems. But at the same time, this Mercury is trining Saturn in Aquarius. So I would say continue to take in information, try to hold off on judgments until after next week, because this Mercury is going to perfect in the square to Neptune. I think it's like the last one of the year. But the thing about this full moon is that it is squaring Chiron in Aries, which is where we feel awkward. It's the pain of individuation. It's the pain of transforming weakness into strength. It's awkward. It's embarrassing. It's insecure. And so what we're having to do in order to step into responsibility, in order to step into personal integrity and who we really are and live more authentically with more authority, personal authority, the process of taking that authority back from that institution, from whatever we gave our power away from, will be awkward. We will feel kind of shaky about it. We'll feel a little bit, insecure. So that's just an energy to know about. Just know that you're going to feel like, oh, I don't want to do it. 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 And then you just do it. I don't know if anyone else here has acted or done acting, but that's why I was always like a film and TV actor. I just couldn't do the stage. I just hated it. I hated this. I hate this. I don't like being in front of people. I prefer cameras. I'm just approving your comments right now. Yeah, I just did not, I don't even want to get married in front of people. I just want it to be like me and my person. Because I just don't want people watching me in a very personal moment of my life. I don't know. It's weird. I guess that's the point, but not for me. So, all right, you guys your comments are all showing now. Another thing about this is that we just this past week had Venus opposing Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, Cancer. So this area of your life was like, things were intense. So intense feelings, intense interactions. If someone was trying to be superficial, that just wasn't happening. Like there was another person that was like bringing it down into like reality and earth and just being direct, like what do you really care about? What are you really trying to say? So that's waning. It's already happened at the full moon, but it's still kind of activating, but just not as strong. So expect there to be some sort of obsession or obsessive energy, just something really, really activating you on a very like under the skin type of energy. And then we do have, where is it? Give me a second here. Uranus, Neptune. Oh, okay. So Jupiter is the strongest supporter that you have. So that Jupiter area, that Pisces area of your life is going to come in and be really helpful for you. So like if you're Scorpio rising, this Jupiter is your 5th house of children, pets, love, romance, dating, in support of this full moon in Capricorn, your 3rd house of, are you speaking? Are you communicating? Are you processing? Are you taking all of the communications and informations and experiences and processing in a way that informs a higher belief and philosophizes much more wiser for you? And so that process, because your full moon in your 3rd house, is going to be supported by that Jupiter retrograde. So there's something coming from the past, something, maybe you're reconnecting with a creative hobby that really opens up your thinking and opens up your considerations of how your brain works, your neuronal pathways. The North Node is still in Gemini, up there with Mercury in Gemini. So the point of this whole thing is to still take in information and to be open-minded and to not make hard and fast judgments, as well as to circulate, ooze intelligence. That Sun in Cancer is putting our emotional needs into focus. So it's that balance between our emotional needs and taking responsibility for those emotional needs and how to carry responsibility for our own life in a way that doesn't blow us up and where we crumble under the stress and crumble under the difficult pressures and energies. It's not like a real sign, it's a piece of cardboard, but I wrote down, there is no pressure. It was one of our channelings from earlier this year. And I just thought, I'm going to write that one down. So I have it in my kitchen, and it's very perfect for this energy, because even when you're working really hard for something that you want, I remember a guy I worked with when I was working at the cemetery, Capricorn rural cemeteries. He was talking about how he worked the phones like hours and hours every single day, but he did that for months because of his family. Like his family was his major motivational driving force. So even when you're working really, really hard for something and it's a really positive, you're working so hard because you want the results, because you want what you want. So, if you're going to therapy, it's like, I'm doing this because I want to feel better. I want to think nicer. I want to just feel better about my life. I want a better quality of life. If you're working on getting sober, it's like, I want to be sober more than I want to piss it all away. If you're working on your communication skills, or your daydreaming skills, or your psychic skills, or your writing skills, or improving the relationship with your kids, or getting away from your family, escaping your family karma, or like alchemizing the family karma, whatever it is, you have to know why you're doing it. And it's to get to that integrity so that it is a life to be proud of. But you don't need to put the pressure on yourself to be more performative. You want to stay aligned and be the boss. You're the boss, so you can take a break from all of this pressure whenever you want. And that is putting that trust back into yourself, into what you're guided to do, into source. That's staying in alignment right there. When everything does get to be too much, and you realize that you've taken on too much, and you realize that you've taken on, that you've allowed people to think that you're responsible for things that you should not be owning, allow me to disabuse you of that illusion. You have to clean up your own mess. I have a boundary right here. Right here, baby. So it's about your integrity. taking responsibility for yourself. The superficial will not do. Pluto's being Capricorn. So there's going to be endings and beginnings here. It's a lot. There is a lot of dynamic pressure. So how you want to steer this, what you want to do with it, that's your free will choice. And as long as you guys understand that you are empowered to make that choice free of perceived pressures and, whatever karma you may be working through, as long as you stay within your own love, truth, and integrity, you will find yourself all of a sudden living a life that you can be proud of, that you're happy with. Yeah, I'm working hard, but I put a boundary on how hard I work so that I don't burn myself out. And it results in living a happy life, a life that I am proud of, with people around me that support me, with a person that I love that loves me, with a fulfilling, life-affirming soul's purpose, legacy that I'm going to leave behind one day, whatever happens to be for you. So this is a turning point in June where you look back at the last 6 months at all that I've said and take stock of what in your life. I would write it down. I would seriously just write everything down, write all of your responsibilities, what makes you feel like it's a burden, what makes you feel like it's really hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it because I want what I want. That's Capricorn. Capricorns will put their foundation before their achievement, their goals first. And then when they reach that goal, that becomes a new foundation. And then they put their achievement above that foundation. And that is how Capricorn gets to the very top. So you have to have that attitude with this area of your life specifically of how you're going to do that to get what you want. Because it's worth it and you're worth it and I love you. Okay, guys? So if you want to hear me talk about all of this as it pertains to your 12 zodiac signs, and I do tarot and energy work, check out the Patreon. It's the Nights tier. So I'm doing that right now. And I love you guys. So I hope you guys got so much out of this. Sorry, I didn't even I kind of browsed a little bit through the chat, but I hope you guys had fun chatting with each other and got a lot out of this. Make sure to watch that once in, 800 year Capricorn energy video. It gives you the bigger, because you're breaking away and you need to have the faith that breaking away is going to bring you to people, situations, homes, vocations, everything else is just going to fall into alignment when you stay true to yourself. I promise, okay? Okay, guys, I love you so much forever and ever and always. Take care. Until next time, my loves, many, many beautiful blessings upon all of your beautiful heads, darlings. Mwah.